The idea was first conceived when retirement ages were pushed back. This might bring one to wonder if it was logical to do so, as the brain can begin to deteriorate after a certain age, causing memory loss. The goal of this experiment is to determine if age and gender affects short-term memory. The results will help society determine the most logical age to retire, as well as other things such as what is the best age for children to start school, and whether or not boys or girls should follow a different schooling system based on each other's gender capabilities. This experiment will investigate whether or not age and gender affects short-term memory. It is hypothesized that an increased age will result in diseases of the brain affecting memory, thus damaging one's short-term memory. It is also hypothesized that males will be the superior gender due to the fact that they have been stereotyped throughout history to be the superior gender. The materials are split into two slides, one human test subjects, and the other inanimate materials needed to conduct this experiment. The human test subjects required are 5 human females of varying ages and good mental health from the community, 5 human males of varying ages and good mental health from the community, 5 human females of varying ages with affected mental health from the community, and 5 human males of varying ages affected mental health from the community. The inanimate materials required include a random number generator from online, a portable device with internet access and stopwatch function from home, quiet/calm space from outdoors, pen or pencil from home, and to record things in a notebook from home. The independent variables are age and gender, and the dependent variable is the number of digits recited from memory. The control group is comprised of 5 human females, control group A, and 5 human males, control group B, of good mental health and varying ages. The test group is comprised of 5 human females, test group A, and 5 human males, test group B, of affected mental health, varying ages. Possible factors that need to be regulated, otherwise known as the controls of an experiment, are time of day, location, number of digits in a sequence, and mood/anxiety determined by atmosphere and clothing the experiment conductor wears. The procedure is as follows. 1. Record in a page of the notebook in the upper left the human, Homo sapien, subject's name, age, gender, group, and personal account of mental health. This should go in the upper right if there is not enough space in the upper left. Also note the date and the start-end time of the experimentation with given subject in the upper left. 2. Generate 3 different random numerical sequences, each 20 digits long. Record these 3 numbers on the same page of the notebook as the human subject's information in the body of the page, skipping 2 lines after each number. 2 of these numbers will be repeat trials to ensure accurate information with minimal outliers. 3. Announce clearly the first numerical sequence to the subject, and then wait 15 seconds. Ask the subject to repeat back as many digits as he or she can recall. Record the digits in the notebook below the line of digits the subject is trying to recall as the subject repeats what he or she recalls, whether correct or not. 4. Move on to the second generated line of digits. Announce clearly the numerical sequence and then wait 15 seconds. Ask the subject to repeat back as many digits as he or she can recall. Record the digits in the notebook below the line of digits the subject is trying to recall as the subject repeats back what he or she can recall, whether correct or not. 5. Note any and all significant details of the subject, for example, thinking time, hand gestures, faltering, etc., in the notebook under the third numerical sequence. Ample space should be available. 6. Repeat step 4 for the last numerical sequence for the human subject. 7. Repeat steps 1 through 6 for all 20 subjects, each time using a separate page in the notebook. For each subject, time of day and general location is crucial. To the left, a picture of a research location used in this experimentation can be seen. Subject would sit in the chair, and then the experiment conductor would stand across from him or her. The following diagram is a diagram of notes. Name, gender, age, group, date and start-end time of the experiment is recorded in the upper left. Account of mental health is recorded in the upper right. Below are the trials, digits recalled, and miscellaneous notes. Each control and experimental group is represented by one randomly selected participant within the group. Some spaces are left blank because it was difficult to conduct experiments on mentally unstable patients, such as a patient from the Alzheimer's ward. In the next slide, all the information and data is the same, only in bar graph form. All information shown in tables 1 to 4 are summarized in graph 1. The blue bar versus red bar trend on graph 1 shows that males and females of non-affected short-term memory start out at the same platform, reach their peaks at about midlife, with females leading, and then approach the later stages of life. This is shown particularly in the section depicting 46 to 70 plus years of age, where the male average is 2 and the female average is 7.67, as seen in tables 1 and 2. At this stage, 46 to 70 plus years, males' short-term memory drastically drops, while the females only decrease by roughly 1 unit. It is projected in graph 1 that males and females of affected mental health short-term memory will continue to degrade in their elderly years. Graph 1 indicates that in mentally affected males and females, the males are superior, dropping by only roughly 1 unit due to the varying cases of mental handicaps and capabilities. The overall trend of graph 1 shows that mentally affected individuals do not have as well developed of a short-term memory capacity as others who are mentally able. The overall trend of graph 1 also shows that all mentally able males and females develop their short-term memory and reach a peak at about 14 to 45 years old, then decrease in the elderly years, whereas those who are mentally affected have peaked in the earlier years of life, 6 to 13 years of age, and decrease in rough increments throughout life. Age and gender does, in fact, affect the capacity of an individual's short-term memory. Participants were asked to provide a brief description of their mental disabilities, if any, and the capabilities of their short-term memory. Each participant was asked for the description once and tested 3 times, each trial consisting of a numerical sequence 20 digits long. For each trial, the numerical sequence was announced clearly. The participant was then asked to wait 15 seconds, according to a timer, and recall as much as he or she could. The information was counted in chunks. 3 numbers must be correctly recited in the order within the chunk. After the initial 3, one correct number afterwards in the correct order within the chunk was worth another point. This was repeated for each chunk identified. If he or she recalled the first and last digit correctly, it counted as 1 point each. The average score of the 3 trials per participant was randomly selected to represent a corresponding test or control group. Averages were retrieved for a majority of test groups and varying ages. Control experimental A, females, and control/experimental B, males. Results of the both control groups A and B showed that females of adequate mental health were the superior sex in the long run. The 2 genders started about the same platform, boost upwards, and then decrease, dramatically for males in this case, in old age. In the test groups, mentally affected males and females, the males were superior and short-term memory capabilities deteriorated with age. Projection of the data possessed shows that males are consistently superior in test groups. After analyzing the data collected during this experiment, it is true that an increased age will result in diseases of the brain affecting memory, thus damaging one's short-term memory. Men and women ages 60 to 65 are susceptible to mental illnesses such as Alzheimer's disease. In Figure 1, those with affected short-term memory decrease in increments from ages 6 to 13 to 14 to 45. It is projected that those with affected mental health will continue to suffer from further deteriorated short-term memory as they age because mental illnesses such as Alzheimer's disease starts with symptoms of mild cognitive impairment. Since the subject cannot absorb new information because the short-term memory of the individual is compromised, information is received that goes to the hippocampus and temporal lobe, then he or she cannot transfer anything from short-term memory into long-term memory. Eventually, due to inactivity and spreading of the disease, the long-term memory continues to break down. This explains why there were no signs of improvements or rises in the average number of digits recalled in mentally affected individuals, experimental groups A and B. After further analysis, there was no data linking females to a more likely chance of Alzheimer's disease, thus allowing males to be the superior sex. The results showed quite the opposite, in fact. Females were the superior sex, as shown in Figure 1. Both males and females start out on the same platform at 5.67, as seen in Tables 1 and 2, and both genders increased in short-term memory capacity as they grew older. But once in their older/elderly years, males' short-term memory capacity dropped drastically while females only dropped by about 1 unit, as seen in Figure 1. The purpose of the experiment was to see if age and gender affected short-term memory. It was hypothesized that an increased age will result in diseases of the brain affecting memory, thus damaging one's short-term memory. It was also hypothesized that males will be the superior gender due to the fact that they have been stereotyped throughout history to be the superior gender. There would be 3 trials per participant. One trial consisted of a 20-digit numerical sequence announced clearly, a 15-second delay, and then the participant recalling as much as possible, in chunks if necessary. The average of the trials was used. The independent variable was age, gender, and short-term memory capabilities. Or actually, short-term memory capabilities were a consideration and a factor, not necessarily a variable. The dependent variable was the average number of digits recalled. For the mentally handicapped, the males were superior. They could not reach the same potential as mentally able participants in early adulthood, according to projected data, and their short-term memory capacity decreased incrementally throughout the years. It's projected that it will continue to decrease until elderly years. In the mentally able, females are far superior, both genders peaking during early adulthood and decreasing substantially during early 50s. Memory impairment can be caused by damage to the cerebrum and other factors such as genetics. There is no clear-cut answer for who is the superior gender, as there are too many variables, physical and mental. Again, to review how this research may influence society, it will help determine a more reasonable retirement age